Peace, peace, family. Welcome back to another episode of Healing for the Culture podcast. I am your host, Ivory Shields, and this is where we have uncomfortable conversations and teach you the tools that you did not learn in school to transform your mind, thereby transforming your life. Welcome back, family. Today is a special episode. Why? Because today I'm going to be doing the show by myself. Woo! Yay! Yes. So today I will be doing a solo show, and I'm going to be talking all about my journey to managing my anxiety. Yes. So anxiety, the beast that every one of us will experience at some point in our lives. I definitely know that as a therapist, as a healer. Every single person I've encountered, every single person I've met has dealt with or struggled with some form of anxiety. Now, anxiety, as you know, can be on the spectrum. So anxiety can be very mild to extremely severe. And I think it's important that we talk about anxiety. And I'm going to tell y'all why. Because, first of all, because of the climate that we're in, all of the uncertainty that's happening right now, the world is changing, how we interact with each other is changing, how the world flows and how the world operates, that's the word I'm looking for, is changing. So there's so much uncertainty in the world. And with uncertainty can come a lot of anxiety. So the reason I want to talk about it is because, and the reason I think it's important to talk about it is because I was someone who never knew what anxiety was until I was a college student. However, I have been exposed to it all of my life. Why? Because my mother had a lot of anxiety. So, as I said, I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what I was experiencing until I got to college. Okay. And I was taking my psychology class. And these people were outlining all these symptoms and these behaviors. And I was like, that's my life. That's my life right there in that book. That's my life. That's what I've been experiencing. So that is why I think it's so important to have these conversations, y'all, and to talk about it so that we are aware and we can discuss it and we can manage it. So let's talk a little bit about what anxiety is. First and foremost, as I said before, anxiety can be on the spectrum. So it can be very mild all the way up to very, very severe and debilitating. And anxiety is simply your body's fight or flight response to a perceived threat. And in particular, an unknown threat or some sort of uncertainty, not knowing what's going to happen. And what happens after that is first a psychological response. So again, that's the perceived threat of something's going to happen, or you don't know what's going to happen. That's the psychological piece of this anxiety process. And then comes the physiological piece of the process, where your body starts to go into this fight or flight response, where all of the neurotransmitters start doing their thing. They start to release all of these different hormones, your cortisol and your adrenaline, and you can have all kinds of symptoms as a result of all of this stuff that's going on inside of you, as a result of all these physiological neurotransmitters doing their job. You can have increased heart rate. You can have increased sweating profusely. You can have stuttered speech. You can have eye blinking. Let me tell y'all, when I first started acting, oh my God, I used to be blinking, blink. Like, girl, it's something in your eye. But no, it was my body trying to cool itself off. My temperature was high. Your body temperature raises. And one of the ways that you can cool your body is through blinking your eyes. So that was my body trying to self-soothe with the blinking. So, and you can have brain fog or just brain where your brain just really completely stops working. That's more on the severe side of this anxiety. For some people, they can go in this depressed state where their mind just becomes, and all of their physiological responses, everything just kind of shuts down from the anxiety, and they become debilitated and bedridden, can't get out of bed. This is real, and that's real anxiety, and it happens. And like I said, it is a spectrum, and everybody is different. So everybody's body responds differently to the fight or flight stress response and anxiety. Everybody is different. Where one person's palms might sweat, one person's heart may be beating and about to jump out of their chest. It just depends. Where one person may blink, another person is, their voice is shaking or they're tremoring. So it's just a lot of different responses that your body can have. Now, on the milder end of the spectrum is a lot of worry. So I'll share a story with y'all. As I said before, my mother had so much anxiety. Oh my God, God bless her. I love my mother dearly. But I remember growing up in a house with her where she was always worried. I mean, just always worried about stuff in the future that it's like, it hasn't even, how you know that's going to happen? I mean, I remember thinking this, why is she worried about that? How do you even, why are we worried about that? And I remember she would just be so stressed out and worried about everything all the time, where it was very difficult for her to be in the present moment. It was very difficult for her to enjoy herself in the present moment. And this is seen, and my mom also suffered from depression. She'll never say that now. She'll never say that out loud. She'll never say she dealt with anxiety either. But I know, I diagnosed her, y'all. So, and I diagnosed myself. But it was very difficult for her to be in the present moment. And when that happens, depression sets in because you're so focused on the uncertainty, and the uncertainty is followed by the uncertainty then gives you these feelings of lack of control. Like you have no control over the situation because you just don't know what's going to happen. So I don't know what to do. I don't know what the next step is. And when you perseverate on that, it can be very daunting and very depressing. Now, that trait, that behavior that I witnessed from my mother was passed on to, guess who? You guessed it, me. Yes. So I remember those times. I remember when I was always worried about what was going to happen next. If things were going great in my life, I would always wonder or be worried about the fact that something bad was going to happen. Like things could be going great, fantastic, but I'm worried about something bad going to happen. Like this can't last forever. Something bad is going to happen. Something bad is going to happen. It's going to go away. I'm going to get into an accident. I'm going to, just my mind just racing, and oh God, it was depressing. It was depressing. So I definitely dealt with depression at points in my life whereby or because of the anxiety, because of always focusing on this bad stuff that was going to happen, I never made space to be in the present moment. So I did deal with depression and anxiety as a very tremendously as a young person. But as I said, I didn't know what it was, y'all. I didn't know what it was until I got to college. And I said that earlier. I did not know what anxiety, I didn't know the word anxiety was a real thing until I got to college. And I was in my psychology classes and learning about anxiety. And I'm like, oh shit, this is a real thing. This is what I'm going through. God dog it. And I remember, honestly, feeling a little bit liberated. I really did. I felt very liberated after learning that, okay, this is the thing. And it's not just me. Like, I'm not the only one feeling like this. Okay. Like, I felt like, okay. So now that I know that this is a thing and that I'm not the only one, I know I can do something about it. Okay. Because I'm a solutions girl, y'all. I am a solutions person. I don't want to talk about stuff over and over and over and just complain about stuff over and over and wallow in stuff and play and just, I'm not that person. I want to talk about it. I want to address it and see what it is, dissect it, peel back the layers on it. Okay, what we going to do about it? How we going to fix it? How we going to manage it? I'm that girl. Okay. So I knew when I learned about anxiety, okay, that this is the thing. All right, I'm not the only one. There's other people that this is happening to, and they are happy and they have found some peace and joy, and they're living their best life, even though they have anxiety. So when I learned about this anxiety, that I had anxiety and even depression, I'm like, okay, let me start exploring more about this. Let me start learning more about this. And that is when I started seeing a therapist. So in managing anxiety, family, or with this whole, let me back up. Sorry, let's scratch that. In the journey of managing anxiety, throughout my journey, the first thing for me was awareness. So the awareness that, okay, what I'm dealing with is anxiety. Because in our families, in the Black culture, we just don't talk about that. It's like, if you say you have anxiety, you must be crazy. You just need to go to church and pray more. Hello, somebody. You just need to go to church and you need to pray to Jesus and ask Jesus to deliver you and get the devil out of you. And that's not always the answer, okay? That's just my insignificant opinion. I found that is not the answer in most cases. So awareness was first, because again, we don't talk about it in the Black community. Like I said, my mom to this day, she will not even admit that she has anxiety, which I know she does. My mom is a little bit her anxiety is high. So, which is why too, let me touch on this a little bit, y'all, which is why I think my personality and my demeanor, my energy is so calm, because I've always had to be the antithesis of my mother growing up in my house. My mother was always on edge, neurotic, what's that other word? High strung, just always on edge. So I've always been the opposite of her. I felt like I've always had to be, I don't know if I would have naturally just been like this if I had a different mother. I don't think so. But I think just to find that balance, I was always just cool, calm. I stayed calm and collected. So that's how parents influence us, mother wounds. There you go. So first piece of the journey, awareness. Second piece was education. Learning as much as I could about anxiety. Learning all about it, all of the ins and outs. And for me, when I learn about things, especially human behavior, I love to learn about the physiological aspects of it and what's happening in my body physiologically. Having that kind of understanding for me is empowering. That's not the case for everyone, but for a lot of us, it is. I like to know what is actually happening inside of my body, because it gives me a very logical perspective at that point. So I know that logically, if this is happening, I know that there's a solution for this. So that's just me. I like to learn the ins and outs of things, and especially with human behavior. I don't know. It's always fascinated me. So there you go. The second piece, or the third piece, I'm sorry. First, awareness. Second, education. Third piece was talking to somebody. So I went to a therapist. I started seeing a therapist to talk through this anxiety, to understand why I was feeling the way I was feeling, why I was having these anxieties, why I was feeling depressed. Just to have someone, a skilled therapist, a trained professional to talk to, was extremely beneficial, extremely helpful to peel back another layer in the process. Now, with traditional therapy, the biggest thing that I gained from my therapy was, I would say, the next level of the therapy rather was the compassion piece of it, and having compassion for, not for myself first though, for my mother and her journey. Because again, I really feel like all this anxiety and the depression that I was experiencing was because this was something that I experienced in my home through my mother, and it was something that I witnessed. So therapy really taught me, or helped me to see my mother's journey and have compassion for her journey. Now, here's the interesting thing. So that I would say that's component number 4 in the journey, the compassion for my mother. Now, the last step in my journey was developing compassion for myself. Ooh, honey. Can I get a hello? Developing compassion for yourself, family, that's another level. That's next level stuff. What do I mean by that? When I developed, how and when I developed compassion for myself was when I understood why I went through and had to go through the things that I went through. So I had a clear understanding, crystal clear understanding of why I had to experience anxiety and depression. And what I realized was that it revealed my purpose. It revealed my gifts. It revealed why I'm here. Oh, honey. So that piece didn't happen until I went on this spiritual journey. Okay, so that's like part 5 of this journey. Awareness, education, talking to someone, therapy, traditional therapy, compassion for my mother. 5, compassion for myself. And when I discovered my purpose, that is when I began to develop compassion for myself and my own journey of experiencing childhood sexual trauma, from being in a home with a mother who had anxiety and depression. All of that stuff, I began to appreciate it for what it was, because it made me who I am. It was a part of the fabric that made Ivory who she is today. And it was a part of me fulfilling my purpose and my mission here in this lifetime. So y'all, that's next level stuff. It don't get no better than that. And when you have that certain level of awareness and self-compassion, there's a certain level of power that comes with this self-compassion. So let me share with y'all 1, 2, 3, 4 ways that I manage my anxiety. Because even though I am aware, and even though I've gone through this journey, I still deal with anxiety and depression. Yeah, I still deal with it. It's not nearly as bad as it used to be, family. I'm gonna tell you. Honey, it's not nearly as bad, but I do still deal with it at times. So the ways that I know that about myself, I know that I have the propensity to experience anxiety and depression. So I have to have systems in place for myself. I have to have practices and tools in place for myself. So that's another, that's the beauty of self-compassion and self-awareness and self-discovery, knowing yourself. When you know how to put things in place for yourself that help you, that are going to manage your mood and your behaviors and your responses to things. You got to have these systems and these tools in place for yourself. I don't care who you are. I don't care if it's anxiety and depression you're dealing with. I don't care if it's anger issues you're dealing with. I don't care what the issue is, what kind of behavior or psychological stuff you're going through. Whatever it is, as evolved and responsible people being responsible for ourselves, I think having systems in place to manage these things that can take us down rabbit holes is valuable. So 4 things that I use to help me manage anxiety and depression is meditation. Y'all, I meditate. Meditation has saved my life, okay? Whenever if I'm feeling overwhelmed, if I'm feeling like I don't know what to do next, if I am feeling like I am about to lose it, if I'm feeling just like I'm going and I'm being pulled in so many different directions, I always meditate. I'll say to myself, "Oh, honey, I'm overwhelmed. I need to meditate. I got to stop everything. I need to meditate. I have to center myself." And you really have to prioritize it, like for real. And because I hear people say, "I don't have time," but you have to prioritize that shit. I'm sorry. I got to keep it. Can I tell the truth, y'all? Do I have permission to tell the truth? You got to prioritize that shit. You got to prioritize it, period. That's end. You got to prioritize it, y'all. Because if you don't prioritize your mental health, your well-being, trust me, you're going to pay for it in some form or fashion. Whether it's through a heart attack and you laying up in the hospital bed, sick up on a ventilator because you done stressed yourself out, then you got all the time in the world to meditate. I'm just saying. I'm not trying to be mean and ugly. Just telling the truth. But you're going to pay for it in some form or fashion. So prioritize 5-10 minutes to meditate, to center yourself, to check out, to unplug. Is valuable. Those 5-10 minutes will change your life. I promise you, y'all. You're looking at somebody who it did for me right here. So second thing I do is exercise. Yoga, boxing, lifesavers. For me, I am a person who likes to be physically active, and relieving stress through physical activities is what does it for me. I'll share this with you. My rising sign, for my astrology buffs out there, for my astrology lovers, this one is for you. I'm an Aries rising. So I have to, and people who are Aries, if your sun sign is Aries, if your rising sign is Aries, if your moon is Aries, if you have strong Aries in your chart, the way that we can calm stress and the way that we can relieve stress and feel more grounded is to exercise. Get that stress out with some form of physical activity. The third thing that I do that helps tremendously is write. I will write out what I am feeling, what I am uncertain about, what is taking up space in my brain and not paying rent. Hello, somebody. what is taking up space in my brain and not paying no damn rent, I write that down. I write it down and I look at it and I write down all of the possible outcomes. That's what I'm trying to say. All the possible outcomes. I'll write it down and look at it. And then I'll ask myself, okay, is this really, is this really going to happen? And a lot of times you'll be looking at it on paper and you're like, yeah, that's really not going to happen. Sis, you tripping. You are really tripping, sis. And the last thing, talk to yourself. So this kind of goes hand in hand with the writing it out. I talk to myself about what I've written down or what I'm thinking, and I'm like, okay, this is what's occupying your mind like all day and night. Let's talk about it, sis. Okay, what's really going on here? Okay, is that what you're thinking? Is that really going to happen? Or do you know what's really going to happen? This thought in your head, you're thinking that, oh, this is not going to turn out right. Do you really know for sure that it's going to turn out like that? I mean, do you? And then you have to be honest with yourself and say, well, you know what? You got a point. Yeah, I really don't know. So why am I tripping? I don't know. I was just tripping. You got to have conversations with yourself. Like, you really do. That's taking that time with yourself, family. Take the time to be with you and have conversations with you, because sometimes you need some expert advice. And the only person who has the answer is you. Sometimes you need expert advice for your life. And the best person to give you the expert advice is you. So have a conversation with you. Talk to you. Sit and listen for your answers. Okay? All right, family. Well, I hope that this helped somebody talking about anxiety and the 4 ways that I manage it. I really hope this helps. I am just here to peel back the layers for you, family. Y'all know this is what I do. And just here to give you tools that we definitely a lot of us did not learn. And I am an avid believer that if we can transform our minds, that we will definitely transform our lives. All right, family. So peace and abundance to you. Don't forget to follow the Instagram page, Healing for the Culture Podcast. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at I am Ivory Shields, and have a book coming soon, y'all. So stay tuned for that. Peace, family. We will see y'all next time on the next episode of Healing for the Culture. Peace.